And cut.
Woo! That's a wrap. All right, I know, Katie, you want to get some photos. I'm going to get some photos.
I want to see you do the high five again.
Yeah. I try to do it 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Okay, let me get a photo.
It's the ideal room where we thrive. Communities first, we come alive. Empowering voices, making a change. Join the movement, it's time to rearrange.
All right, welcome back to the Idea Room, the podcast where innovation meets inspiration, powered by Communities First. This is where we explore ideas, people, partnerships, shaping healthy, thriving communities. I am Glenn Wilson, President and CEO of Communities First, Inc., and we are here for episode 6, talking about something that's very important to our organization, is building what comes next, housing opportunity in Michigan's future, with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, MSHDA acronym, President, Executive Director, all the other good stuff. Awesome Amy Hovey is here with us today to talk about what we have going on here in the state of Michigan, but also just to talk about housing in general. So,
my favorite topic.
Yes, I can only imagine. And I'll just say this. I know this is not part of my script, but I am just so proud of all the stuff that you guys have going on in MSHDA. And all the changes that have been made, the things that's been going. I mean, things that you never thought that can happen are happening, and like Michigan's on the map, and this is an exciting time.
It really is, and I can tell you the staff at MSHDA work really hard.
Yeah.
To try new, innovative ways of meeting the housing needs in the state, trying to be more efficient.
Yeah.
Be better at what we do.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the progress.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, Michigan is experiencing a huge shortage in housing right now, especially in affordable housing, rental housing, home ownership housing opportunities that affects urban and rural communities across the gamut. Making it harder for families, seniors, and workers to find stable housing is a very difficult thing to do right now. But you guys are doing a lot. And so before we kind of get in our discussion, just a reminder that Communities First, we're a nonprofit community development organization here in the city of Flint, and we focus on economic development, affordable housing, and innovative programming. And today's conversation directly connects with our organization and who we are and what we do as an organization. So please, when you get an opportunity, make sure you share this information with your family, your friends, and all the people that you know to get on here and share this information that myself and Amy are going to share with the greater community, not just here in Genesee County, where we're sitting right now, but across the state, because this information is good for anybody who hears it, because this is not just a Michigan problem, as we know. This is a statewide problem. Amy, I mean, you have worked across so many things. I've experienced you in so many different aspects, whether you were in government, philanthropy, finance, like, How has all these experiences for you, like, now that you're at MSHDA, did you see all this stuff like culminating to be like, oh, this is what I was called to do at this moment? Like, this is what it was all for?
You know what? I do feel like all my past work experience working at underwriting and real estate development, working at building the capacity of nonprofits, being an actual developer myself, and a development consultant, and of course being in philanthropy has given me the skills and the experience I need to do this job well, to be able to look at decisions and processes at the state government and see how, it impacts all the different players, whether it's partners that are coming in and co-financing a project with us, whether it's getting and understanding how it will impact the developers itself or the property managers or all those different aspects. I have to say, when I knew that the executive director, CEO position at MSHDA was going to become available, I thought, I want to do this. We had some conversations early on about it. I thought it would be fun, but more importantly, I thought I could be impactful.
Yeah.
I thought I could take my networks, my skills, my experiences, and make a difference in the state. and it has been fun.
Yeah. Is there anything for you that just like sticks out to you, like the fun part of the job? Like, is there something that you think about when you're like, okay, this is good right here? Is there anything, one particular thing that stick
Well,
out to
I
you?
mean, I don't think it's one particular
Okay.
thing. I really think it's, you know, we all who work outside of government
Yes,
get frustrated by government
absolutely.
and the bureaucracy that's there. And I think one of the things that I have a better appreciation for is that, you know, folks at the government are doing the best they can often, and they're hampered by legislation and regulation that gets made by folks that don't really understand how difficult it is to implement that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I have a new perspective now being inside of state government. I think it helps for
Come
me
back
to
to
be
the light,
able
Amy. Don't stay. I'm just
to communicate that, and
Yeah.
also to kind of work at removing those barriers and doing the education with the lawmakers and pushing policy that has been in place at state and federal government for a really long time that doesn't work,
Yeah.
and getting those changes made. And we're seeing that happen.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I mean, some of the things that you all have been working on to try to make sure that you're bridging the gap between policy, community, within your offices was the first Michigan's first statewide
Yeah.
housing plan. I mean, I can't believe we didn't have that before, and that was like a big moment, for our state and the community. Like, explain like how the plan is, how the plan has been going along with like your regional housing partnerships and how it's like changed the way that policy is approached internally, but also how legislators are looking at it, how they've been getting involved and engaged as well.
Yeah, so I can't take credit for the statewide housing plan.
Yeah.
It was approved just after I started as the executive director at MSHDA, but it was perfect timing. We are, for the first time in our generation, really having a housing crisis.
Yes.
As we mentioned, in our state, we're still about 119,000 units short of where we need to be. We can talk forever about why we got to the place we are. But the plan really is providing a roadmap for all of us, not just MSHDA, but for everyone in that housing ecosystem, on how we address the housing shortage, how we meet the needs of Michigan families. And we took that plan, which was blessed by the governor.
Yes.
She created a statewide housing partnership organization to oversee it, which has players from all different types of segments of our industry. So we have all these perspectives coming together. And then we thought, this plan is really comprehensive.
Yes.
But each region really needs to focus on what's most important to them. So we built out these regional housing partnerships in the state. There are 10 of them, which Community First helps lead one of the regions.
Yes, we do.
In this area, and ask the regions to take that larger plan, select what is most important to them. What are their priorities, their needs, their values?
Absolutely.
Create a sub plan, a regional housing plan, which helps bring partners together, get everyone on the same page. It helps us as a state agency be able to fund those individual priorities. So you'll see in many of our program areas, whether it's low-income housing tax credits or the My Neighborhood program, you have to identify how what you're asking MSHDA to fund is meeting the plans and the goals within the region.
You're absolutely right, because what we've noticed with the regional housing plan, when we went out to these different communities, whether if it was inner city or rural communities, there was always a lot of fighting because people felt like I'm not being heard. I live in a community that has 800 people. Nobody's hearing me.
Yeah.
And we're having problems out here to take care of our homes, to put on a new roof, on my home, or whatever it could be. These communities were saying, I'm not being heard. What this really allowed to happen was to bring all these different communities together and to say, we all have a voice in how this housing strategy is going to be put forth, and see ourselves in the actual work, which I really believe is really helped as well on policy side, because when you have all of this melting pot of individuals come together and they find out, oh my God, it's not that I was forgotten about. The problem is everybody has the need. It might show up differently.
Yeah.
Housing affordability is a need.
Yeah.
Period.
and what I love about the regional housing partnerships too is it's consistent communication.
Yes.
So often people would have a summit once a year or every other year
Right.
and bring people together and talk about housing, but then you might not hear from those people again for a couple more years until there was funding and capacity to build those summits. The regional housing partnerships, because MSHDA is funding them year after year after year, are consistent communication between the government and people in the housing ecosystem.
Yes.
Back and forth communication to help tailor our programs and also to see where the gaps are and how we can fill those gaps. And you're right. In some communities, Glenn, they're really focused on homeowner rehab, right? They have a lot of seniors or folks that have been in their home or older housing stock, like the city of Flint, for example, where they need a lot of money to fix roofs, to do new hot water heaters. We can do that.
Windows, doors,
5 years ago, MSHDA wasn't doing homeowner rehab. Now we are, because we're seeing that that's what people want us to do. Still doing multifamily development, still providing single family mortgages and doing homeless work, but really being able to be responsive to those local needs.
Yeah, because I really believe that helps with the whole conversation that it's not I should feel bad about the part that I'm experiencing, is that it creates a spirit of collectivism versus individualism. And that's what the state housing plan has allowed to happen in the community. And that's why we all know that housing is foundational, right, for our community. And can you just talk about, because you're already starting to kind of speak to that, but like how housing connects to things in everyday life? Like, so we have health, education, employment. Like, how is these tools being used within MSHDA? How you all are partnering with employers, and like talk about some of those things, because I think sometimes people look at housing as this, you're just building a place for somebody to stay, but it impacts economics, it impacts workforce.
Right.
Like,
I mean, research shows that you can't reach those other goals without having stable housing.
Right.
And so we really talk about housing being foundational to meeting all other goals within our state. You mentioned healthcare. We know that folks are healthier, both mental and physical health, when they have a stable housing situation, when they have a safe, affordable place to call home. We know that educational attainment goes up when a child has a safe place to go at the end of the day, when they're not switching schools every year or a couple times a year. Reading levels go up. People can't have a job if they don't know where they're going at the end of the day, right? And so really, we've got to fix this housing crisis in order to manage all of those other statewide goals effectively.
yeah, because you're absolutely right. When you're talking about health, like you say, statistically it's shown that if a person they don't have to go to the hospital as much because they actually have a place to stay, because people don't realize a lot of individuals go to the hospital that are homeless and say, oh, I have this issue, because they know they have to intake them. Oh, I have a heart attack, or I felt like I had a heart attack, I can't breathe. In the hospital, keep them a couple days, just to make sure, because they know they're going to eat, they know they're going to have somewhere safe to stay in the hospital, or have access to water. I always say that people often people are praying for the very things that some people take for granted.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
And we get an opportunity to get up, get in our cars, and some people are sleeping in their cars. Like, just even take that step back and say, somebody's sleeping in their car tonight. I'm sorry, not just somebody and their kid is sleeping in their car. Oh, okay. If you step it back a little bit more, I mean, somebody and their kid, that's really maybe a baby, right? Like, you have people that have whole families that are sleeping in cars, driving around our communities. And a lot of things that people, just because they don't see it with their own two eyes because they're not being impacted. But people don't know also that kid that's sleeping in your couch that doesn't have a job is technically considered homeless.
Well,
not
by the federal government if they're on a couch.
Right. Right.
Yeah, no. And one of the things too I find really interesting, which I did not think before I came into this job, but I visit a lot of homeless shelters. And some are tied working hand in hand with hospitals.
Absolutely.
And we are to address a lot of the homeless issues across the state. Almost every homeless shelter I visited is somebody who has a full-time job with benefits living in a shelter.
Yep.
They're working. They're employed. I was at a homeless shelter in Grand Rapids, and there was a bus driver who comes home at the end of every day and is in his bunk bed at the shelter.
Yep, post
because
office
he
worker.
cannot afford a place to live. But you would say he is doing a job that is contributing to society.
Mm-hmm.
He has health benefits. He's not where that stigma is of, oh, they're slackers, they're people who don't want to work, or they're all people with mental health illnesses or are disabled. No, we're at such a crisis in our state right now that people who are doing what we expect them to do still can't afford a place to live at the end of the day.
Because it's the stigma that people have created to say that, oh, this is who this person is. And it's like, no, you have a totally warped view.
Right.
Because the reason why I mentioned the postal worker is because I know one right now. A gentleman staying in a shelter, works at the post office, goes to work every day, and has to go to the shelter because he doesn't have a place to stay. Why is that okay, here in America, and here in Michigan, just anywhere?
Well, let's just say, to be frank, I know this wasn't a pre-question,
No.
our federal government does not think of housing as a right for its citizens.
And we should.
If you qualify for SNAP, right, food stamps, or if you qualify for Medicaid, you get it. If you qualify for a housing choice voucher, which is what vehicle we use to provide rental assistance to our most vulnerable families in the country, you might be on a waiting list for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so strange
Yes,
to me
yes.
that we don't want to make sure in this country that everybody has a place to live.
Right. And it's the one thing that really truly builds community.
And
You want safety, make sure people have housing.
That's right. Well,
You
we know
want-
crime goes down
Yeah.
when people have a place
Yeah,
to live.
absolutely. Because people are not out wandering the streets or trying to find something that they need to go and do to afford to be able to go buy a hotel or a motel room for the evening. But so we're kind of getting to another good question, but given what we know about the scale of need, like what do you see as like one of the biggest single barriers? I know there's multiple, but if you thought about like barrier, if this one was removed from the number of homes that we need right now, like what would that be?
So you're right. There's lots of things that contribute.
Yeah.
And I think there's lots of things that we can do to bring down the cost of housing. But if I had to say the largest thing is we just need additional resources.
Yes.
If we're not going to provide rental assistance to people who deserve it at a level that works in our market right now, we need additional money to subsidize the development of housing.
Right.
So that folks that are doing the development can afford to rent or sell for what people can afford to rent and purchase for, right? In our state right now, the market is not working.
Yes.
We have the average family, let's just say for sale housing. The average family in our state can afford about $173,000 to purchase a house. Well, we can't build a house for less than $300,000 really.
Absolutely.
And so there's a mismatch there, right? What it costs you at Community First to develop multifamily housing isn't what the average Michigan family can afford to pay.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're right.
And so we need more money until we can fix the system. We're seeing more developers, both single family and multifamily, that were really in that market rate industry for decades, now trying to come and work with us for subsidy because the market doesn't work. It doesn't work in our state.
Yeah.
Our incomes have not escalated at the same rate as the cost of housing.
Right.
And so until we get that balance back, we need government to intervene with additional resources and additional funding to fill that gap.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I would just say, I totally wholeheartedly agree. And when you're talking about even the market rate developers, the amount of market rate developers that's called us and said, hey, we're thinking about getting in this business. Now, there are several people that I talked to several years ago say, I'll never do affordable.
Yeah.
I'll never do it. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And now they're telling me, I don't see how it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah, because what they develop isn't affordable
right,
to anyone.
Right, it's not affordable to anyone. And when you have a house now that's a 2 and 3 bedroom house that's costing $340,000, no garage, no basement. We're just talking about slab on grade. So I also want people to put this in their mind. We're talking about a 1,200, 1,300 square foot house, and you have some people that jump in immediately and say, well, you could prefab, you could do this, you could do this, you could build
Still
more.
expensive.
It's still expensive. Okay, you might save 20%, 25%, but as materials continue to rise, as tariffs continue to come on, the things just are only getting expensive. And then it's the economics problem, right? It's making sure that people are having workforce opportunities, and you guys have a wonderful employee match program where employers are also, bringing their dollars along to say, hey, we want to make a difference in our community. We don't have it all, but how can we leverage our resource to ensure that we can build something that can help for our workforce and our local communities? Because they're realizing as well, it's not affordable for our employees that's working at our hospital, our nurses, our teachers that are here. They can't afford to stay here. So we need to do something. So when you were talking about those resources, think about that. You're getting companies that are not federal companies now, like that doesn't have trillions of dollars. I mean, someone might be billions or hundreds of millions, but you got to leverage them all.
So we have an employer-assisted housing program, which I think you were referring to, which matches dollar for dollar employers contributing to the development of housing. Could be for their employees, or it could just be affordable housing. But we have everything from large hospitals who are working hand in hand with, school districts that we're working hand in hand with. But we also have mom and pop employers. We've got a small business owner up in the UP who's taken advantage of that, who just wanted to develop 8 units for their employees because their employees were living in tents.
Wow.
So think about living in a tent in the UP in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
Right? And so everybody is feeling the impact of our housing shortage. We want to be there for everyone. So like when we developed that program, we had a special set aside just for small businesses because we didn't want just the larger companies to come and take all of those resources and then leave behind the smaller companies because everyone's being impacted in our state.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what do you see as the future role of MSHDA in helping Michigan not just catch up, but to build the stronger infrastructure long term?
Yeah.
Because I know you're trying to meet a lot of immediate needs right now because certain things have been passed over. The can has been kicked, and now you're trying to pick up the can. But what do you need to take it across the goal line? Like,
So
what do we need?
I think it's a few things, and we're working on them right now. One is continuing to make sure that we have the capacity within the housing industry in our state. So we are continuing, like with our regional housing partnerships, our support of nonprofits to make sure that we're building their capacity. We're also building the capacity of our local governments. We created a Get Housing Ready guide for local governments to say, here's what you need to do to be housing ready. We want them to understand housing and the role they play in making sure that housing gets developed in their areas. We're also creating financial tools that aren't dependent on appropriations and won't disappear when housing is no longer the hot topic. One of those is the housing tax increment financing tool. We got a housing TIF approved a couple of years ago. One of the first in the country of using tax increment financing like this aggressively for housing. We have produced about 300, I think it's 3,600 housing units using TIF.
Wow.
TIF doesn't need to be appropriated every year. It's going to continue on and on long after we're out of this business.
Yes.
And that's been working for single family as well as multifamily. We've also created a new tool called our Housing Accelerator Fund, which isn't relied on appropriations either. And it's really using our tax exempt financing tool to be able to help underwrite mixed income housing. Across the state.
Yeah.
We have some excess bonding authority, and we want to use every dollar. That tool also will be able to be used ebb and flow depending on the changes in the housing industry and different administrations coming in, whether they're trying to attack the home program or CDBG. We have a new tool that we're hoping to get across the finish line. It's a state tool called the State Low-Income Housing Tax Credit. That is also something that will be sustainable if it gets passed. And we're one of the only states in our region without a state tax credit. Puts us at a disadvantage. if we can get that passed this year, and I really am hopeful, it will allow us to leverage more money from the federal government, get a lot more housing developed throughout our state. And that also, because it's a tax credit, does not need to be appropriated every year.
Yes.
It won't be at the whim of political changes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as a developer, the more tools that we can create that are reliable, the better we are at attracting developers to do work in our state and sustaining that development. If you know 24 months from now, you're going to get funded, the money is going to be there, it allows you to create a pipeline that you can depend on for years and years and years. That's what we need to do in our state.
One thing that you touched on, the word that you said is reliability, because that has definitely been the issue with housing, and all the programs that you're creating right now that your team are working hard to do is say, you know what, the long term, what it's going to take is reliable, consistent funding to continue to build the things that we need to build and the infrastructure to make sure that we're successful as developers, as a state, long term, to make sure that everybody has a house. We're not going to be able to take care of the problem tomorrow.
Right.
But like you said, if you can depend on funding to say, okay, we know there's $50 million a year that's going to be available in this pot. That gives you a lot more confidence to know that that 50 million. Now, people have to realize 50 million goes in our
Very
world
quickly.
like this. So the type of needs that we have are different when it comes to numbers because of the great scale. So we'll just give somebody an example. Like a housing development could be, 40-50 million dollars that you guys are investing 20 or 30 million. So even if a legislator is listening to this, or a congressional member, Senate member, we need hundreds of millions of dollars. This is not a $5.
This is a $1 billion problem.
Yeah, right. There we go. Billion. Matter of fact, trillions. Like, if we were able to truly say, as a country, as a state, we're going to put billions in, we're going to put trillions into this problem, we could really solve this supply and demand issue that we're having across our country right now. Now, will it take care of everything immediately? No. But if we had reliable in the things that you're building, and those same things are being set up at the federal government where everyone could leverage those tools and resources, we'll look up in 20 years from now, instead of homelessness being, at an all-time high, it would probably be at an all-time low.
We could solve homelessness.
We truly
People
can.
know how to do it. It's
Yes.
just we don't have the will of Congress to make it happen.
Absolutely. But we can also try to find ways within our local communities to solve it as well, in using other tools that we have. It has been wonderful for us as Communities First to work with MSHDA as a partner for so long. I can't believe it's 16 years. And MSHDA was a part of our first project, which was Oak School. That's how far back this goes.
I know the project.
Right, you know the project. And it goes all the way back to that first project. And I remember talking to MSHDA way back then. It was like, like the whole thing about that project was amazing. But we had got $500,000 was our first grant from MSHDA to go towards that $5 million project. I would never forget it. But we have consistently been working with MSHDA to help us, to help solve and to help impact this area of housing in our community. But just like you all, everyone needs additional resources to do it. So when they invest in MSHDA, or when whoever's watching this is investing in MSHDA, it invests in organizations like Communities First to help us do the work. But not only just us, but other organizations, other companies across.
Listen to him.
Listen,
Invest in MSHDA so we can invest in others.
Invest. I mean, the thing is, if you need the tools and the resources, you give it to people that know what they're doing and that can help create and leverage those resources to make change in the community. I mean, can they give them to us? Absolutely. But if you got like $1 trillion, you don't want to give it all to us. I'm just saying, give it to MSHDA. Why not? I definitely trust Amy. Today's conversation is such a powerful reminder that housing is so much more than just a building. I mean, but it's truly about people. It's about community. It's about stability. It's about creating real opportunities for families in our communities to have a place where they can thrive. If you'd like to know more about what's happening in our space, we encourage you to check out Communities First Inc. all our social media platforms or communitiesfirstinc.org, or also go on the MSHDA's website, because they have so much information on there, first-time home buyer information, so many programs that you can go on there that you don't even know that's available. Go to the MSHDA website, get that information. There are so many ways to get informed. And of course, stay tuned to our CFI YouTube page, Spotify for future episodes of the Idea Room. We got more meaningful conversations ahead. Amy, what do you want to leave us with today before I finish closing us out? Is there anything else you want to add or leave us with today?
I think really, if I could just say one thing, is that housing is foundational. We need to pay attention to housing. We need the government to continue to pay attention to housing. We need more people involved in making sure that everyone has a place to go at the end of the day.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for being here with us today. This was fun. Like I say, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear all the things that MSHDA is doing, and I am excited to continue to partner with you all in the future. Stay tuned to CFI's YouTube page, Spotify. Thank you so much for joining us today for another wonderful podcast of the Idea Room. Please share with your friends and your family, your state legislators, your foundations, all the people that you know that we may not know. Or you might just be that person watching here today to say, hey, I want to support that type of work. Well, you can find us anywhere at any time. We take all contributions. If you got Bitcoin, Zelle, whatever you got, we will take to make sure that we're able to have an impact. So thank you so much to our media team that's been helping put this work together, Tova, Phil, and everyone that participates in our marketing team. But looking forward to being back with you for the next one. See you again on the Idea Room.
It's the Idea Room, yeah, where we thrive. Communities first, become alive. Empowering voices, making a change. Join the movement, it's time to rearrange.